precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. Fuel distribution takes place as usual. The central bank says it is ready to cooperate in an engagement with the IMF. Sri Lanka hosts the 5th BIMSTEC summit in Colombo. France and Sri Lanka to further strengthen the bilateral relationship between the two countries. Tourist arrivals at the Yala Wildlife National Park increased by threefold. In world news, Russia says it will focus its invasion of Ukraine on liberating the East. In sports news, the world's most glamorous T20 tournament is back today as the Indian Premier League returns. Now the local news in detail. Chairman of the Kulannava Petroleum Storage Terminal, MRWG Silva, says fuel distribution is taking place as usual. He said the daily requirement of fuel in the country is between 5,500 to 5,800 metric tons. However, it has come closer to 8,000 metric tons at present due to higher consumption of diesel. He requested the people to refrain from gathering fuel stocks unnecessarily. In response to the IMF Article 4 report of the central bank says it has continued to publish its analysis in addition to providing further in-depth analysis on policy matters to the government and engaging in a continued close dialogue with the government on the same. At the same time, several policy adjustments have already been made by the Ministry of Finance and the central bank. These include monetary policy tightening since August 2021, allowing exchange rate flexibility, removing restrictions on foreign exchange market transactions, implementing envisaged revenue-enhancing measures, and allowing market-based price adjustments to key commodities. With the government indicating that it is seeking a closer engagement with the IMF, the central bank stands ready to cooperate in such an engagement. The government of Sri Lanka will host the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectorial Technical and Economic Cooperation Summit in Colombo in hybrid mode next week from Monday to Wednesday. The senior officials and the foreign ministers of Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal and Thailand will arrive in Sri Lanka for the BIMSTEC senior officials meeting and ministerial meetings scheduled to be held on the 28th and 29th March, respectively, while the foreign minister of Myanmar will participate virtually. The President of Sri Lanka will chair the 5th BIMSTEC summit on 30th March with the virtual participation of leaders of Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal and Thailand. Myanmar will be represented by the Foreign Minister of Myanmar at the summit. The summit is also expected to adopt the BIMSTEC Charter and sign several legal agreements. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news, Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Pires met with a delegation of senators from the French Republic in Colombo on Thursday. The discussions covered a variety of issues, including constitutional reform, investment of French companies in Sri Lanka, expansion of markets in France for value-added exports from Sri Lanka. Special attention was paid on tea, fisheries products, apparel and gems and jewelry, tourism, health tourism and environmental tourism and cooperation in the education and cultural sectors were emphasized. The French senators stated that they were working towards strengthening the bilateral relationship between Sri Lanka and the French Republic. Caretaker of the Yala Wildlife National Park, Manoj Vidyaratna, says that arrival of tourists at the wildlife park has increased by threefold at present when compared with the first 2 months of last year. He said 10,187 local and foreign tourists had arrived at the park in January 2021. He said 39,232 tourists arrived in January this year. Nearly 13,000 tourists visited the wildlife park in February this year. With that, we conclude the local news.
The main
News Story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. 100 million rupees have been allocated to import 14 critical drugs in a bid to address shortage of drugs in the country. Health Minister Keheli Rambukwala said he made an assessment on the matter in collaboration with the Finance Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, S.R. Artigala, in order to import critical drugs. He said 14 critical drugs will be imported and there will not be a shortage of drugs. That was our main news story. The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
The Examinations Department says that practical examinations of GCE Advanced Level Examination 2021 will be held from Tuesday to 8th of April. Commissioner General of Examinations LMD Dharmasena said that practical tests of local and Indian dancing, Eastern, Karnataka and Western music subjects will be held on those days. The dates for practical tests including drama and performing arts subjects will be informed later. Mr. Dharmasena said that admission cards have been posted. He said that the candidates who have not received the admission cards for practical tests can download it by logging into www.doenets.lk website using the exam index number or the national identity card number. COVID-infected candidates should contact the department over the telephone number 0112 784 208. That came to you in Watchlight.
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
No matter what anyone says, for your lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, Friendly Leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
The headlines of the world news. Russia says it will focus its invasion of Ukraine on liberating the East. President Putin cracks down on fake news on activities abroad. Mariupol officials estimate 300 were killed in theatre bombing. Now the world news in detail. Russia says it will focus its invasion of Ukraine on liberating the East, signaling a possible shift in its strategy. The Defense Ministry said that the initial aims of the war were complete and that Russia had reduced the combat capacity of Ukraine. Russia's invasion appeared aimed at swiftly capturing major cities and toppling the government, but it has stalled in the face of fierce Ukrainian resistance. Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed into law a bill that makes it illegal to publish false information about Russia's actions abroad. The move follows the enactment of a bill on March 4th that sets out penalties including prison terms of up to 15 years for individuals and organizations that intentionally spread false information about Russian military activities. Officials in the eastern Ukrainian city of Mariupol estimate 300 people were killed in the Russian bombing of a theatre on March 16th. Reuters and other media outlets quote local officials as saying that about 900 people were sheltering in the basement of the theatre just before the bombing, but only 600 were rescued. Neither police nor medical workers have been able to confirm the claim because the city is still under siege from Russian forces. Prior to concluding the world news, the headlines of the world news once again. Russia says it will focus its invasion of Ukraine on liberating the East. President Putin cracks down on fake news on activities abroad. Mariupol officials estimate 300 were killed in theatre bombing. With that, we conclude the world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
For your wheel lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, friendly leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
14 rural roads under Balapitiya Pradesh Sabha will be developed. More than 10 million rupees will be spent on the development of the roads by the Line Ministry. The project will benefit about 700 families in those areas. They will be able to take their produce to the market soon following the development activities. That came to you in Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
The world's most glamorous T20 tournament is back today as the Indian Premier League returns. Cricketing superstars from around the globe will descend on India for the 15th edition of the franchise competition. There are now 10 franchises representing different cities in India, with matches taking place at 4 neutral venues across 2 cities, 3 in Mumbai and 1 in Pune. The teams have been split into 2 virtual groups after being seeded based on the number of times they have won the IPL or made the finals. The opening game sees a repeat of the 2021 final as defending champions Chennai meet Kolkata. The top 4 sides will go through to the playoffs, with the final scheduled for 29th May. Taking a look at Formula One, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is expected to go ahead as planned after hours of meetings following a missile attack near the track in Jeddah. The drivers spent 4 hours after practice yesterday discussing whether the race should be run. But eventually today, after further reassurances from bosses, they agreed to race. That was Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Passengers will have increased flights to India, with national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines doubling up its flying frequency. Sri Lankan Airlines announced that it would increase its service to India to 88 flights per week to match the pre-COVID-19 levels. The new weekly flight schedule will be in effect starting from tomorrow, when India will open its skies to international passenger flights. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic News, courtesy of
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The streamlined export process for the gem and jewellery sector was commended by the industry stakeholders as the simplified steps would allow improved sales. The new process will thus enable the exports under $3,000 to be fast-tracked via a new digital platform and allow the exporters to ship directly from their own locations without the need to physically visit the Gem Authority. That was Economic News.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The Weather Report.
Met Department says showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in northern, north central, northwestern, western, Sabaragamuwa, central and Ubon provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places in Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. Fuel distribution takes place as usual. The central bank says it is ready to cooperate in an engagement with the IMF. Sri Lanka hosts the 5th BIMSTEC summit in Colombo. France and Sri Lanka to further strengthen the bilateral relationship between the two countries. Tourist arrivals at the Yala Wildlife National Park increased by 3-fold. With that, we conclude the news and over to my friend and certainly yours who's all geared up to keep you entertained with a wonderful collection of music indeed.